lovelies, it is time for another book haul, so stay tuned. So I have 34 books to show you. Yeah. Apparently a lot of books came out this month. There were books I pre-ordered and other books that I just ordered. I ended up with more than I thought. Okay, so let's start with this stack over here. This first book is actually one that came in my YA Once Upon a Book Club box. I had to open up the box and take everything out because the box was kind of destroyed, and one item in it that had a very strong scent kind of leaked out or whatever, and everything smelled really bad. Like, not bad, but like really strong. So I've got the book out, and that is Lord of the Fly Fest by Goldie Moldavsky. And this says, Rafi Francisco needs a splashy case to put her true crime podcast on the map. Her plan? Go to Fly Fest, an exclusive music festival on a Caribbean island, and land an interview with headliner River Stone, who rocketed to stardom after his girlfriend's mysterious disappearance, and expose him as the killer she's sure he is. But when Rafi, along with hordes of influencers, arrive at Fly Fest, the dreamy getaway they were promised turns out to be a nightmare. Soon, Rafi is fighting for her life amid power-hungry beauty gurus and spotty Wi-Fi, and as she gets closer to River, Rafi discovers that his secrets might have even bigger consequences than she suspected. Okay, well, this is not what I thought it was. Okay. All right, next up, this is one that I think I pre-ordered. That is Demon in the Wood, a Shadow and Bone graphic novel by Lee Bardugo and Danny Pendergast. And this is like, I think the Darkling's origin story. Art looks like that. Very cool. Next up is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. And this says, wanted, blood made of exceptional taste, must have a keen proclivity for life's finer pleasures. Girls of weak will need not apply. A young woman is drawn into the upper echelons of a society where blood is power in this dark and enthralling gothic novel from the author of The Year of the Witchling. Marion Shaw has been raised in the slums where want and deprivation are all she knows. Despite longing to leave the city and its miseries, she has no real hope of escape until the day she spots a peculiar listing in the newspaper seeking a blood maid. Though she knows little about the far north, where wealthy nobles live in luxury and drink the blood of those in their service, Marion applies to the position. In a matter of days, she finds herself the newest blood maid at the notorious House of Hunger. There, Marion is swept into a world of debauchery, and at the center of it all is Countess Lisbeth. The countess who presides over this hedonistic court is loved and feared in equal measure. She takes a special interest in Marion. Lisbeth is magnetic, and Marion is eager to please her new mistress. But when she discovers that the ancient walls of the House of Hunger hide even older secrets, Marion is thrust into a vicious game of cat and mouse. She'll need to learn the rules of her new home, and fast, or its halls will soon become her grave. And I think it sounds so good and kind of sexy but creepy, and I think it's gonna be fun. Next up is Eternally Yours, edited by Patrice Caldwell, and this is 15 stories of paranormal love to capture your heart and resurrect your soul. This says, vampires and merfolk, angels and demons. The stories in this anthology imagine worlds where the only thing more powerful than the supernatural is love. Stories by Kaylin Barron, Kendar Blake, Kat Chow, Melissa Dela Cruz, Hafsa Faisal, Sarah Gailey, Chloe Gong, Alexis Henderson, Adib Karam, Anna Marie McLemore, Casey McQuiston, Zendaya Minion, Akshaya Raman, Marie Ratowski, Julian Winters. Give in to this irresistible paranormal romance anthology filled with tales of the immortal and the monstrous. In Eternally Yours, 15 of today's best-selling writers explore love in its many forms. A girl in a graveyard goes on an unexpected date. A shipwrecked sailor makes a connection on a forbidden island. A piano medley summons a soulmate. Creatures of folk tales and legends, of land and sea, of centuries past and life after life, all wrapped into one spellbinding compendium. Once you sink into its pages, it'll never let you go. Okay, next up is Pretty Dead Queens by Alexa Dine. And this says, a new reign begins. After the death of her mom, screw cancer, 17-year-old Cecilia Ellis goes to live with her estranged grandmother, a celebrated author whose Victorian mansion is as creepy as the murder mysteries she writes. On the surface, life is utterly ordinary in the California coastal town until the homecoming queen is murdered, and she's not Seaview's first pretty dead queen. With a copycat killer on the loose, Cecilia throws herself into the investigation, determined to crack the case like the heroines in her grandmother's books. But the more Cecilia digs into the town's secrets, the more she worries that her own mystery might not have a storybook ending. This totally gives me the Agatha's vibes. Next up, I have The 99 Boyfriends of Micah Summers by Adam Sass. And this says, will Boy 100 be the one? Micah is rich, dreamy, and charming as the Prince of Chicago, the son of local celebrity sports radio host known as the King of Chicago. He has everything going for him. Unfortunately, he's also the prince of imaginary meet-cutes, since he's too nervous to actually ask boys out. Instead, Micah draws each crush to share on Instagram with a post about their imaginary dates. 99 boyfriends later, his account is hugely popular and everyone is eagerly awaiting Boy 100. So is Micah. He's determined that Boy 100 will be different. This time, Micah will sweep the boy off his feet. For real. So when Micah flirts with a hot boy on the L who's wearing a vegan leather jacket and lugging a ton of library books, he is sure this is Boy 100. But right before he can make his move and ask for the boy's number, the guy rushes off the train, leaving behind his pumpkin embroidered jacket. The jacket holds clues to the boy's identity, so Micah and his friends set off on a quest to return it. Along the way, Micah will discover that the best relationships aren't fairy tales. In fact, the perfect fit and true love might be closer than he thinks. Next up is You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince by Timothy Janofsky. And this says, find a little joy to the world? Not today, Santa. Matthew Prince is young, rich, and thoroughly spoiled. So what if his parents barely remember he exists and the press is totally obsessed with him? He is on top of the world. But one major PR misstep later and Matthew is cut off and shipped away to spend the holidays in his grandparents' charming small town hellscape. Population? Who cares? It's bad enough he's stuck in some festive winter wonderland. It's even worse that he has to share space with Hector Martinez, an obnoxiously attractive local who's unimpressed with anything and everything Matthew does. Just when it looks like the holiday season is bringing nothing but heated squabbles, the charity gala loses its coordinator, and Matthew steps in as a saintly act to get home early on good behavior, with Hector as his maddening +1. But even a Grinch can't resist the unexpected joy of found family, and in the end, the forced proximity and infectious holiday cheer might be enough to make a lonely prince's heart grow 3 sizes this year. And this also says, a charming Christmas LGBTQIA+ new adult rom-com, perfect for fans of Schitt's Creek and Red, White, and Royal Blue. Fun. Alright, next up is The Dark King by Gina L. Maxwell. And it says here, Neon Gods meets 50 Shades, deliciously dark and sexy. I thought a weekend away would be the perfect escape until I woke up married and trapped by the King of the Dark Fae. For Bryn Mira, a free trip to the exclusive and ultra-luxe Nightfall Hotel and Casino in Vegas should have been the perfect way to escape the debris of her crumbling career. But waking up from a martini and lust-fueled night to find herself married to Caden Varon, the reclusive billionaire who owns a hotel and most of the city, isn't the jackpot one would think. Sounds like a jackpot to me. It seems her dark and sexy new husband is actually royalty, the Fae King of the Night Court, and there's an entire world beneath the veil of Vegas. Again, I don't see a problem. Whether light or shadow, the Fae are a far cry from fairy tales, and now they've made Bryn a pawn in their dark games for power. And Caden is the most dangerous of all, an intoxicating cocktail of sin and raw insatiable hunger. She should run, but every night of passion pulls Bryn deeper into his strange and sinister world until she's no longer certain she wants to leave, even if she could. Oh, it sounds so good. Next up is Arden High 12th Grade Night by Molly Horton Booth, Stephanie K. Strom, and Jamie Green. And this says, the course of true love never did run smooth. V came to Arden High for a fresh start and a chance to wear beanies and button-ups instead of uniform skirts. And though doing it without her twin feels like being split in half, V finds her stride when she stumbles into broody and beautiful poet/influencer Orsino. Soon, V gets roped into helping plan the school's 12th grade night dance, and she can't stop dreaming about slow dancing with Orsino under the fairy lights in the auditorium. The problem, V's new friends all assume she's not even into guys. And before V can ask Orsino to the dance, he recruits V to help woo his crush, Olivia, who has a crush of her on V. Star-crossed love abounds in this hilarious and romantic story of self-discovery, mistaken identities, and the magic that happens when we open our hearts to something new. And it sounds so cute. And the art, let's see. Oh, the art looks like this. Adorable. Okay, next up. Oh, this, let me grab my phone. This was a gift from my friend Dana. And oh my goodness, I seriously almost cried when she sent it to me because it was just so unexpected and so freaking sweet. So she sent me book 2 in this series. I already own book 1. So I'm going to tell you about book 1. She sent me Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by El Casamano. And let's see, the first book is called Finley Donovan is Killing It. And it says, getting the job done for one single mom takes on a whole new meaning in Finley Donovan is Killing It. Finley Donovan is killing it, except she's really not. A stressed out single mom of 2 and struggling novelist, Finley's life is in chaos. The new book she promised her literary agent isn't written. Her ex-husband fired the nanny without telling her. And this morning, she had to send her 4-year-old to school with hair duct taped to her head after an incident with scissors. When Finley is overheard discussing the plot of her new suspense novel with her agent over lunch, she's mistaken for a contract killer and inadvertently accepts an offer to dispose of a problem husband in order to make ends meet. She soon discovers that crime in real life is a lot more difficult than its fictional counterpart, as she becomes tangled in a real-life murder investigation. Fast-paced, deliciously witty, and wholeheartedly authentic in depicting the frustrations and triumphs of motherhood in all its messiness, hilarity, and heartfelt moments, Finley Donovan is Killing It is the first in a brilliant new series from award-winning El Casamano. Okay, next up I have The Getaway by Lamar Giles, or Giles. This says, Karloff Country is an oasis from the world outside. Jay is lucky to be living and working at one of the world's most famous resorts. He has his crew, his family, and the safety of the walled county. But soon people begin to disappear, vanishing overnight with no warning. Then the richest and most powerful families in the world start to arrive, with no plans to leave. The rich are paying to wait out the apocalypse in Karloff Country, and the employees will be at their beck and call, whether they like it or not. How far are Jay and his crew willing to go to get their freedom back? Next up is another sequel. This is Volume 3 of Allure Olympus by Rachel Smythe. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And let's see. I'm not sure which thing is the like special extra for it being Barnes & Noble. I don't know. But let me pull up about Volume 1. Oh, and this is a graphic novel series. Kind of looks like that. So this says, experience the propulsive love story of two Greek gods, Hades and Persephone, brought to life with lavish artwork and an irresistible contemporary voice. Scandalous gossip, wild parties, and forbidden love. Witness what the gods do after dark in this stylish and contemporary reimagining of one of mythology's most well-known stories from creator Rachel Smythe, featuring a brand new exclusive short story. Smythe's original Eisner-nominated webcomic Allure Olympus brings the Greek pantheon to the modern age with this sharply perceptive and romantic graphic novel. Set that one there. All right, let's do this one next. First up, I have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. And this one was the one I think I ordered from Book Depository to get this edition. And it has sprayed edges. This says, "This is my last love letter to you, though some would call it a confession. Saved from the brink of death by a mysterious stranger, Constata is transformed from a medieval peasant into a bride fit for an undying king. But when Dracula draws a cunning aristocrat and a starving artist into his web of passion and deceit, Constata realizes that her beloved is capable of terrible things. Finding comfort in the arms of her rival consorts, she begins to unravel their husband's dark secrets. With the lives of everyone she loves on the line, Constata will have to choose between her own freedom and her love for her husband. But bonds forged by blood can only be broken by death." S.T. Gibson's sensational novel is the darkly seductive tale of Dracula's first bride, Constata. All right, next up is We Spread by Ian Reid. And this says, Penny, an artist, has lived in the same apartment for decades, surrounded by the artifacts and keepsakes of her long life. She is resigned to the mundane rituals of old age until things start to slip. Before her longtime partner passes away years earlier, provisions were made, unbeknown to her, for a room in a unique long-term care residence, where Penny finds herself after one too many incidents. Initially surrounded by peers, conversing, eating, sleeping, looking out at the beautiful woods that surround the house, all is well. She even begins to paint again. But as the days blur together, Penny, with a growing sense of unrest and distrust, starts to lose her grip on the passage of time and on her place in the world. Is she succumbing to the subtly destructive effects of aging, or is she an unknowing participant in something more unsettling? At once compassionate and uncanny, told in spare, hypnotic prose, Ian Reid's genre-defying third novel explores questions of conformity, art, productivity, relationships, and what ultimately it means to grow old. Next up is The Heartstopper Yearbook by Alice Oseman. And it's just, I guess, the yearbook like, throughout the years of all the different characters and stuff and information about the different Heartstopper characters. And I just thought it was really cute, and I love this series. Okay, next up we have The Witch Hunt by Sasha Payton Smith. And this is the sequel to The Witch Haven. So let me pull that up for you. Okay, so for The Witch Haven, it says, The Last Magician meets The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy in this atmospheric historical fantasy following a young woman who discovers she has magical powers and is thrust into a battle between witches and wizards. In 1911, New York City, 17-year-old Frances Hollowell spends her days as a seamstress, mourning the mysterious death of her brother months prior. Everything changes when she's attacked and a man ends up dead at her feet, her scissors in his neck, and she can't explain how they got there. Before she can be condemned as a murderess, 2 cape-wearing nurses arrive to inform her she is deathly ill and ordered to report to Haxahaven Sanitarium. But Frances finds Haxahaven isn't a sanitarium at all. It's a school for witches. Within Haxahaven's glittering walls, Frances finds the sisterhood she craves, but the headmistress warns Frances that magic is dangerous. Frances has no interest in the small, safe magic of her school and is instead enchanted by Finn, a boy with magic himself who appears in her dreams and tells her he can teach her all she's been craving to learn, lessons that may bring her closer to discovering what truly happened to her brother. Frances's newfound power attracts the attention of the leader of an ancient order who yearns for magical control of Manhattan, and who will stop at nothing to have Frances by his side. Frances must ultimately choose what matters more, justice for her murdered brother and her growing feelings for Finn, or the safety of her city and fellow witches. What price would she pay for power, and what if the truth is more terrible than she ever imagined? Alright, next up is I Miss You, I Hate This by Sarah Sadie. And this says, the lives of high school seniors Parisa Nafasi and Gabriela Gonzalez couldn't be more different. But despite their differences, they've had an us against the world mentality since the day they met their freshman year. Whatever life has in store for them, the pressure to get good grades, the litany of family dramas, or the heartbreak of unrequited love, they'll always face it together. But everything changes when a virus puts the lives of teenagers at risk and abruptly sends the world into lockdown. Suddenly, a senior year doesn't look anything like they imagined. Their high school experience has been whittled down to students and teachers trapped in little black boxes on a computer screen as the pandemic rages on. Gabriella risks her safety to help her family pay the bills, while Parisa's debilitating anxiety threatens her perfect facade. Through it all, Gabriella and Parisa stay in touch however they can, relying on text, email, and FaceTime. And as the whole world is being shaken up by the crisis, even their steady friendship will be put to the test, proving that distance doesn't always make the heart grow fonder. Sarah Sadie, an acclaimed author of Americanized Rebel Without a Green Card, reminds us that the best way to weather any disaster is by sticking together, even when you're forced apart. Next up is When in Rome by Sarah Adams. And this says, opposites certainly attract for a stranded pop star and small-town baker in this charming slice of romance from Sarah Adams, author of The Cheat Sheet. Amelia Rose, known as Ray Rose to her adoring fans, is burned out from years of maintaining her Princess of Pop image. Inspired by her favorite Audrey Hepburn film, Roman Holiday, she drives off in the middle of the night for a break in Rome. Rome, Kentucky, that is. When Noah Walker finds Amelia on his front lawn in her broken-down car, he makes it clear he doesn't have time or patience for celebrity problems. He's too busy running the pie shop his grandmother left him and reminding his nosy but lovable neighbors to mind their own damn business. Despite his better judgment, he lets her stay in his guest room, but only until her car is fixed. Then she's on her own. But Noah starts to see a different side of Ray Rose. He sees the real Amelia, kind-hearted and goofy, yet lonely from years in the public eye. He can't help but get close to her. Soon she'll have to return to her glamorous life on tour, but until then, Noah will show Amelia all the charming small-town experiences she's been missing, and she'll help him open his heart to more. Amelia can't resist falling for the cozy town and her grumpy tour guide, but even Audrey had to leave Rome eventually. And this is pretty short too. It's only 305 pages. Alright, next up is Stone Blind Medusa's Story by Natalie Haynes. And this says, so to mortal men we are monsters. Because of our flight, our strength, they fear us, so they call us monsters. Medusa is the sole mortal in a family of gods. Growing up with her Gorgon sisters, she begins to realize that she is the only one who experiences change, the only one who can be hurt, and her mortal lifespan gives her an urgency that her family will never know. When the sea god Poseidon commits an unforgivable act in the temple of Athene, The goddess takes her revenge where she can, and Medusa is changed forever. Writhing snakes replace her hair, and her gaze now turns any living creature to stone. The power cannot be controlled. Medusa can look at nothing without destroying it. She is condemned to a life of shadows and darkness, until Perseus embarks upon a quest to fetch the head of a Gorgon. Dun dun dun. Okay, next up is this box set here, and it is Kingdom of the Wicked box set by Carrie Maniscalco. So I have Kingdom of the Wicked, Kingdom of the Cursed, and Kingdom of the Feared. And this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I forget what bonus stuff comes with this. But the first book, which is Kingdom of the Wicked, says 2 sisters, 1 brutal murder, a quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself, and an intoxicating romance. Amelia and her twin sister Victoria are Stregeith witches who live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution. One night, Victoria misses dinner service at the family's renowned Sicilian restaurant. Amelia soon finds the body of her beloved twin, desecrated beyond belief. Devastated, Amelia sets out to find her sister's killer and to seek vengeance at any cost, even if it means using dark magic that's been long forbidden. When Amelia meets Wrath, one of the wicked princes of hell, as she has been warned against and tell since she was a child, Wrath claims to be on Amelia's side, tasked by his master with solving the series of women's murders on the island. But when it comes to the wicked, nothing is as it seems. Okay, next up, this is one that came in a Bookish box. That is Wild is the Witch by Rachel Griffin. And it has these beautiful sprayed edges. And I'm going to pull up on Goodreads because this dust jacket actually doesn't say much of anything. And sorry if y'all hear Einstein slurping his water over there. Okay, this says, when 18-year-old witch Iris Gray accidentally enacts a curse that could have dire consequences, she must team up with a boy who hates witches to make sure her magic isn't unleashed on the world. Iris Gray knows witches aren't welcome in most towns. When she was forced to leave her last home, she left behind a father who was no longer willing to start over. And while the witches' council was lenient in their punishment, Iris knows they're keeping tabs on her. Now settled in Washington, Iris never lets anyone see who she really is. Instead, she vents her frustrations by writing curses she never intends to cast. Otherwise, she spends her days at the wildlife refuge, which would be the perfect... He just bumped the tripod. Which would be the perfect job if not for Pike Alder, the witch-hating, aspiring ornithologist who interns with them. Iris concocts the perfect curse for Pike, one that will turn him into a witch. But just as she's about to dispel it, a bird swoops down and steals the curse before flying away. If the bird dies, the curse will be unleashed. And the bird is a powerful amplifier. And unleashing the curse would turn not just Pike, but everyone in the region into a witch. New witches have no idea how to control their magic, and the consequences would be dire. And the Witches' Council... He's still moving the tripod. And the Witches' Council does not look kindly on multiple offenses. If they found out, Iris could be stripped of her magic for good. Iris begs Pike to help her track the bird, and they set out on a trek through the Pacific Northwest looking for a single bird that could destroy everything. He is literally in the middle of the tripod, like underneath it right now. Okay, next up I have A Sliver of Darkness by C.J. Tudor. This says 11 Twisted Tales of the Macabre. Okay, this says, a creak of the floorboard, a shiver down your spine, the feeling that you're not alone. Prepare to be terrified by C.J. Tudor's first collection of short stories. Join a group of survivors who wash up on a deserted island only to make a horrifying discovery. Meet a cold-hearted killer who befriends a strange young girl at a motorway service station. Travel along eerie country lanes in a world gone dark. Enter a block of flats with the most monstrous of occupants, and accompany a ruthless estate agent on a house sale that goes apocalyptically wrong. These 11 twisted tales of the macabre from the best-selling author of The Chalk Man are your perfect companions as the nights draw in. if you're brave enough. Fine, fine, fine. Let's see, where can I stick this? I'm going to set this one right there. All right, next up I have Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. It's a tiny little thing here. This says, oh, there's a sticker over it. Hold on. Okay, so this is part one. This is, I think, a 3-part series. Anyway, this says, Charlie Winwood and Silas Nash have been best friends since they could walk. They've been in love since the age of 14. But as of this morning, they are complete strangers. Their first kiss, their first fight, the moment they fell in love, every memory has vanished. Charlie and Silas must work together to uncover the truth about what happened to them and why. But the more they learn about the couple they used to be, the more they question why they were ever together to begin with. And I'm very excited to try out this author duo. Okay, I tried to move the tripod because Einstein bumped it some more. Next up, I have The Whispering Dark by Kelly Andrew. And this has like skulls in the flowers. Love it. This says, oh, it's purple on the inside. This says, Delaney always talked to the dark. She never expected it to talk back. Delaney is tired of being seen as fragile just because she's deaf. So when she's accepted into a prestigious program that trains students, he's back, that trains students to slip between parallel worlds, she's excited for the chance to prove herself. But her semester gets off to a rocky start as she faces professors who won't accommodate her disability and a pretentious upperclassman fascinated by Delaney's unusual talents. Colton died when he was 9 years old. He woke several weeks later at the feet of a green-eyed little girl. Now, 12 years later, Delaney has stumbled back into his orbit. But Colton's been ordered to keep far away from the new girl, and the voices she hears calling to her from the shadows. Delaney wants to keep her distance from Colton. She seems to be the only person on campus who finds him more arrogant than charming. Yet after a student turns up dead, she and Colton are forced to form a tenuous alliance. But Delaney and Colton discover the cost of opening the doors between worlds when they find themselves up against something old and nameless, an enemy they need to destroy before it tears them and their forbidden partnership apart. I think this sounds really, really good. And now Einstein is laying between me and the tripod, chewing on something. Next up is Built to Last by Erin Hahn. Really, Einstein? This says, Shelby Springfield has spent the last 10 years trying to overcome her past, sanding it away like the rough spots on the vintage furniture she makes over. But as a former child star, she can't forget the wildly documented meltdown and huge public breakup with her former co-star, Lyle Jessup. It's also hard to forget her other co-star and childhood sweetheart, Cameron Riggs, the one who got away. Anytime Shelby has called, Cameron has come running. And then he runs right off again to chase stories around the world by making documentaries, too scared to admit what he really wants. But when Lyle stirs the pot, getting the two back in the spotlight with a home renovation show, Cameron can't help but get on board. There's something in it for everyone, almost. Cameron wants to set down some roots. Shelby wants to prove she's not the messy party girl anymore, and a jealous Lyle is eager to get in the way. But for his two childhood friends who had more chemistry than he could ever dream of, nothing is getting in the way of their second chance at love. Erin Hahn's Built to Last is a sparkling romance about owning what you're worth and fighting for the one who got away. Alright, next up I have Hooked by Emily McIntyre. And this was kind of sort of gifted to me. This was my book buddy of the month selected this from my wish list. I provided her with a gift card to buy it, but I didn't know what she was going to get at the time. So this is what she picked out for me. I'm very, very excited for it. This says, he wants revenge, but he wants her more. James has always had one agenda: destroy his enemy, Peter Michaels. When Peter's 20-year-old daughter, Wendy, shows up in James's bar, he sees his way in, seduce the girl, and use her for his revenge. It's the perfect plan, until things in James's organization begin to crumble. Suddenly, he has to find the traitor in his midst, and his plan for revenge gets murkier as James starts to see Wendy as more than just a pawn in his game. Wendy has been cloistered away most of her life by her cold, wealthy father, but a spontaneous night out with friends turns into an intense and addictive love affair with the dark and brooding James. As much as she knows James is dangerous, Wendy can't seem to shake her desire for him. But as the relationship grows more heated and she learns more about the world he moves in, she finds herself unsure if she's falling for the man known as James or the monster known as Hook. Oh, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. This is the first in the Never After series. I'm so excited because this one is obviously based on Peter Pan, and I'm so here for it. So here for it. All right, next up I have What Lies Between Us by John Mars. This says, Nina can never forgive Maggie for what she did, and she can never let her leave. They say every house has its secrets, and the house that Maggie and Nina have shared for so long is no different, except that these secrets are not buried in the past. Every other night, Maggie and Nina have dinner together. When they are finished, Nina helps Maggie back to her room in the attic and into the heavy chain that keeps her there. Because Maggie has done things to Nina that can't ever be forgiven, and now she is paying the price. But there are many things about the past that Nina doesn't know, and Maggie is going to keep it that way, even if it kills her. Because in this house, the truth is more dangerous than lies. Oof, oof. So excited to read another John Mars book. Next up is It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. And this is not the first in this series. I think it's the second, maybe third. I'm not sure how many. Okay, so this is book 2 in the It Ends With Us series. So book 1 says, sometimes it's the one who loves you who hurts you the most. Lily hasn't always had it easy, but that's never stopped her from working hard for the life she wants. She's come a long way from the small town in Maine where she grew up. She graduated from college, moved to Boston, and started her own business. So when she feels a spark with a gorgeous neurosurgeon named Ryle Kincaid, everything in Lily's life suddenly seems almost too good to be true. Ryle is assertive, stubborn, maybe even a little arrogant. He's also sensitive, brilliant, and has a total soft spot for Lily. And the way he looks and scrubs certainly doesn't hurt. Lily can't get him out of her head, but Ryle's complete aversion to relationships is disturbing. Even as Lily finds herself becoming the exception to his no dating rule, she can't help but wonder what made him that way in the first place. As questions about her relationship overwhelm her, so do thoughts of Atlas Corrigan, her first love and a link to the past she left behind. He was her kindred spirit, her protector. When Atlas suddenly reappears, everything Lily's built with Ryle is threatened. Next up is another John Mars book. This is Keep It in the Family. This says, in this chilling novel from best-selling author John Mars, a young couple's house hides terrible secrets, and not all of them are confined to the past. Mia and Finn are busy turning a derelict house into their dream home when Mia unexpectedly falls pregnant. But just when they think the house is ready, Mia discovers a chilling message scored into a skirting board. I will save them from the attic. Following the clue into the eaves, the couple makes a gruesome discovery. Their dream home was once a house of horrors. In the wake of their traumatic discovery, the baby arrives and Mia can't shake her fixation with the monstrous crimes that happened right above them. Haunted by the terrible things she saw and desperate to find answers, her obsession pulls her ever further from her husband. Secrecy shrouds the mystery of the attic, but when shards of a dark truth start to emerge, Mia realizes the danger is terrifyingly present. She is prepared to do anything to protect her family, but is it already too late? You know, it's funny. Hold on. I'm curious if these two are actually connected, because What Lies Between Us was talking about, you know, the lady being chained up in the attic. No, it doesn't seem like they're connected, but it's just kind of funny that these are the two that I got. All right, next up is Heartbreak Boys by Simon James Green. This says, Jack's summer of love just became the summer of dumped. Nate is newly out and newly broken-hearted. Together, they're on a mission to prove to the world, or at least Instagram, that they are totally over their exes. But between dismal campsites and clapped-out camper vans, is there a sparkle of something that might change this summer from insta-fake to forever? This sounds very, very cute. Next up is A Cosmic Kind of Love by Samantha Young. And this says, dog hair on me. Space is the last thing an astronaut needs in this charming new romantic comedy from the New York Times bestselling author Samantha Young. When event planner Haley Goodman receives party inspiration material from the bride of her latest wedding project, the last thing she expects to find in the files are digital videos from Darcy's ex-boyfriend. Haley knows it's wrong to keep watching these personal videos, but this guy is cute, funny, and an astronaut on the International Space Station to boot. She's only human. And it's not long until she starts sending emails and video diaries to his discontinued NASA address. Since they're bouncing back, there's no way anyone will ever be able to see them, right? Christopher Ortiz is readjusting to life on Earth and being constantly in the shadow of his deceased older brother. When a friend forwards him the emails and video messages Haley has sent, he can't help but notice how they make his heart race. Haley and Chris are falling in love with each other, one transmission at a time. But can they make their star-crossed romance work when they learn each other's baggage? I think this is going to be really cute. And last, but certainly not least, I have Partners in Crime by Alicia Ray. And this says, in Vegas, all bets are off. Mira Patel's got a great career, good friends, and a whole lot of distance between herself and her dysfunctional family. All that's missing is a stable romantic relationship. Armed with a spreadsheet and professional help, she sets out to find her so-called partner in crime. But much to her matchmaker's dismay, no one is quite right, including Naveen Desai, the very first match whom she unceremoniously rejected. Lately, Naveen's been too focused on keeping his sick grandfather's law firm afloat to think about love, and he's stunned when Mira walks back into his life to settle her aunt's affairs. He's determined to keep things professional, though it's impossible not to be intrigued by all the secrets piling up around Mira. If getting back together with an ex is a bad idea, getting kidnapped with one is even worse. Suddenly, Naveen and Mira find themselves in a mad dash through Las Vegas to escape jewel thieves, evade crime bosses, and follow the clues to untangle the mess their family left behind. As her past comes back to haunt her, Mira despairs of ever finding someone who might understand her. But maybe over the course of one wild night, she'll find that he's right by her side. And I think this sounds so freaking cute. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually really, really excited for all of these books. All of them. They all sound amazing. I need to just absorb them immediately. Have you guys read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye.